I have to tell you guys something really dumb I did, but I'll tell you at the end of the video because it has nothing to do with the topic for today. And I forgot your name, I'm sorry, but basically, if you're still struggling with ed, I want to tell you more things that I did to kind of convince myself to get out of it, because I've realized, for me at least, and this is all unique advice, so it's like it's just something that worked for me and maybe it would work for some of you. And weird that like the timing for this question, or whoever said this in the comments, was perfect, because I experienced something interesting at work that added to my encouragement for getting out of ed. So I will be completely honest. Sometimes I miss ed, and sometimes it's hard for me to ignore the thoughts. If I'm alone for too long, I feel like ed is more likely to take over, especially if I'm feeling down and just really don't like myself. It's like a spiral. I seek out positive videos and things that make me laugh, happy stuff, because if I start allowing, like, if I don't interrupt those thoughts, it only gets stronger and louder. And with ed, I feel like it's this voice that sounds like you, like your conscience, but it's not, because it's trying to kill you, and it's not normal and natural to self-destruct. So that's why I think it's almost like a virus trying to kill you, like a psychological virus. And you have to almost destroy it or beat it in its game before it beats you. That's what I do. It's almost like I'm always playing these mind games on myself. It's like a battle of consciousness, or whoever runs the show, or they're fighting over who is like running it. And the more you feed one, the more it grows and gets louder. So you have to stop feeding. I'm not using that as like pun, but it makes sense. You cannot feed ed, because he will only get stronger. He gets more authority that way. It's as if, let's say, your coworker starts acting like he's your manager. The only way to stop a coworker that thinks they can tell you what to do is not listening to what they're telling you, because you're not giving them that power, because they don't have that power, right? So that's what you do. You cannot let ed just start driving what you do. Do not act on his demands. And it's hard, but once you break a little bit of the rules, he stops being so loud. At least in my situation, you have to learn how to break some rules in order to listen to yourself. And I started out by eating the things that I was really craving, but that would lead to binging. So if you're not like comfortable and you're not ready to step there to like binging, you can start off slow. You could break one rule completely and slowly start to add more rules that you're breaking, because how you get in something is kind of the way you can use to get out. I started breaking the rule of the amount of calories I could have in a day, and eventually I realized that, yeah, I felt like the end of the world in the beginning, and I had like panic attacks and I cried and like I was miserable. Like I told you guys, took it a little too hard when I had mayonnaise on like sandwich or hot dog or whatever, because I just completely cut that out. And then I did, and it just felt so wrong. And then I kept doing it, and then eventually it kind of desensitizes you, because you learned to make it seem as if it was worse, or at least you fed into ed, and ed made you feel this way. Like it kind of basically told you it was wrong, but it's not wrong. And I also started doing this thing where it's like, I'm a very sensitive person. I hate saying it that way. Like I feel for anything. Like I can feel bad for pretty much anything. So I started to kind of use that to my advantage. Like if I'm gonna feel bad about everything and everyone, I'm gonna do that for food. So if I don't use a food, I imagine it being sad and crying and feeling like it's not worthy of me, and I hate that. So I'm like, you know what? I am gonna like eat you. I am gonna put mayonnaise on my bread or ketchup or whatever it is. It doesn't really, it's not that big of a difference. And also, I started to trick Ed. Like, I'll be like, I'm gonna eat something. And like that voice starts up where it's like, you're really gonna eat that? And then I start saying, I'm gonna walk later. I'm gonna do exercise later. And then you procrastinate the shit out of it till you don't do it, and you're just like, hey, guess what? I didn't die when I didn't do that. And then you keep doing it. After that, this is what I was talking about at work. I did the dumbest thing where I didn't sleep at all for an 8-hour shift of labor work, which is not that bad because you're moving, so it's kind of easier to stay awake, but it's also hard because it's like you get to that zombie mode where like nothing affects you because you want to sleep. Basically, you're in a point where, you know how Ed forces you to think about food 24/7. This is, you get to the point in no sleep where all you think about is wanting to go to sleep. And I was at that, I reached that pretty quickly. 3:30 a.m. I was struggling to stay up at work. I was falling asleep and bumping into everything while walking and while putting shit away. So I stopped at the bathroom to take a nap because all I needed was like a 15-minute nap. And I finished my work earlier than other people. And I knew my energy was going to run out faster because I didn't sleep all day. I swear, this has a purpose. It has to do with this. And so I went to the bathroom, closed my eyes, I opened them because I'm like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be somewhere. I fell asleep standing up in the bathroom, like facing the mirror. And I opened my eyes and I looked at myself directly and I was just like, oh my gosh, how long have I been asleep? It wasn't that long, but I felt worse than, when I hadn't sleep. So I'm walking out of the bathroom and I'm passing this part where there's snacks that you're supposed to pay for. But I'm like, I always grab snacks and I pay for them later because I don't have time. There was a bunch of snacks and I grabbed a payday because those were one of the rules of Ed, that I was not allowed to eat anything like peanut butter or anything like that because it's like healthy fats, and fats are just deemed bad, but it's like that's what your brain needs. I grabbed it and then I opened it and I started eating it, right? The second I ate that, I felt completely energized. I felt like I slept like 4 hours or 5 hours. For me, that's a usual like sleep day. I felt so good that when I was walking back to my spot, I was like putting shit away, doing it all fast, and I was like, wait a minute, why does this feel familiar? And before, when I was falling asleep, I told myself, I've done this before. Well, I'll have shift after shift back to back, and I won't have any sleep. And it's horrible, but I survived it and I kept doing it. So how could I not do it this other time? Like now, And I realized because back then I used food as energy. It wasn't a problem. I had a healthy habit with food. Didn't have like a straight up, my head wasn't extremely, it wasn't even there yet. So I realized food, that point, it was almost like a checkpoint. I felt so good about that payday, not even a trace of guilt. So much that I'm like, this is a superpower. I ran back and I grabbed another one and I ate it. And I was like, thank you so much. I needed this so bad. I went back to my spot and I started putting shit away. I felt completely awake. And I was worried the whole shift when I was really tired that I would be falling asleep on the road after work, because I used to happen to me back in the day and I would like fall asleep and wake up like either at home or like, that's just bad. Nothing ever happened, but I hated it. And the one thing is like I never fell asleep for like the whole time. You know what I mean? It was that sleep where it's like, oh no, oh no. So I would slap myself really hard to wake myself up, and I'm like, damn, I'm gonna be slapping myself so hard. I'm gonna have to yell at myself. But no, the paydays help me stay awake, and that's something you have to look forward to when Ed is no longer that loud or is even barely a trace of him, because food will not only go back to being just food, it will also energize you, and you will see it as like you get a little bit like tired or anything like that, and you're like, I'm gonna get a snack, and it's just that, like a snack, and you feel happy. And I do this really annoying thing where it's like when I eat, I hum. Like I noticed people have told me like, why do you do that? And I hate it, but I can't help it because I like food. Okay, like I'm a food person, and maybe that's what contributed to Ed. Because it's like I always felt as a child that I deserved to be punished for being bad all the time. So growing up, like now I kind of punish myself with this and negative talk and stuff like that, even just slapping myself to wake myself up, like it's punishment, because that's just the way I just thought it was. I deserve to be punished. And now it's like, no, just find a solution. If you're hungry, you have to try to eat. If you have Ed, you have to try to like take your power back, basically. Just imagine the ugliest guy you've ever seen in your life in the most annoying voice. It could be a character from a show, and he's an incel, and he has the audacity to like start telling you that you're not good enough and you have to do all this stuff. Like, why are we satisfying him, you know? I just kept thinking about that, and I'm like, who cares? This guy isn't even real, you know? Like, he doesn't, the only way he can exist is by demanding us to listen to him. So just all that, it's like a big mix of that. And I don't know, that payday, like the bar, it kind of changed my mind about. It was like I feel like I reached a checkpoint, and you'll know when you reach a checkpoint because you feel like you've advanced to a new level, basically, and you feel different. Like, you're no longer where the problem that used to affect you back then no longer is that big of an issue now. So I just, back in the day when I had ed, I remember a lot of my time was spent on thinking about food. I used to search up every time I wanted to eat something, I would search how to make it, and it would be broken down into pieces. And that's what led my interest to cooking, and I wanted to see people eat it, and it was so bad because it's like all I needed to do was eat something. Just eat something I wanted and it would go away. Like, you are not obsessed with food. You need it. Your body is trying to keep you alive, and it's forcing you to keep seeing it. You know what I mean? You can't keep pressing snooze because you're not shutting the alarm off, basically. You have to eat in order for it to stop. And that way, I remember, like, I thought, am I always going to be obsessed with food? Like, thinking about food and, like, watching people eat and wanting it so badly. And now I don't. I remember my mom, and I don't even think about it so hard anymore. When my mom asked me, like, oh, do you want something from this place? Do you want something from here? Or do you want one of these? I don't think about it like, oh, I shouldn't have it, blah, 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 and this and that. And no, I'm just like, yeah, because I have to. That's one of the things. You have to make rules fighting back ed. So think of yourself as the healthiest version of yourself and the happiest, because if you're healthy, you're happy. And they're they're both trying to take the wheel of you. You want to listen to the happier one. That's the only way you'll stop, like all this cycle. You're in a hamster wheel, and you can't let whoever puts you in the hamster wheel keep putting you there. You know what I mean? The person that's trying to get you out is that you, who we failed so many times, and it's time. All we have to do is listen to her, make her happy. I don't want to make anybody else proud in my life. I want to make my inner child happy and my future self proud. And that's what we should do. And I don't, your future self is not the one telling you not to eat and to do all this extreme stuff, because they're fading away, and you don't want to lose them. We don't want to lose them because we're never going to be happy. I think a lot about life is more about reaching a satisfaction level of achievements, and achievements come from what makes you happy. It doesn't come from money or, having things. It comes from peace, and this is not peace. The cycle is not peace, and the sooner we realize that, the sooner we can escape from the hamster wheel. So that's all I have today. I'm sorry, I can't really like think of more stuff because I just feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. So other than this story, like the what happened to me at work where I kept falling asleep, that's new because I think I've done this video before, but I don't mind keep reminding you guys that you're in a cycle. Like, if you're still struggling with ed, you're in a cycle and you're in that hamster wheel. And everybody else that has recovered, please mention yourselves in the comments. Mention something that stopped you from getting on that hamster wheel. The step one, stop going on the hamster wheel. Stop walking on it. Just stare at the hamster wheel. Analyze the hamster wheel. Accept the fact that you're in a hamster wheel. And then the next step is going to be to get off of it. And it just keeps going on like that. Everybody else watching you on this, not like in a mean way, but we can see it. We can see it, that you're still on there, and we've been there and it sucks. We're watching you and we're hoping you'll join us. And everybody else who's off the hamster wheel, mention it. What helped you get off the hamster wheel? What's keeping you off the hamster wheel? So yeah, I'm finally off the hamster wheel. Sometimes I think about the hamster wheel and I'm like almost gonna step on it, but I'm like, yeah, no. When somebody hurts me or I feel miserable, I just cry. I just cry. It's not that bad. It's actually easy. I cry, and I remember I kind of plan my cries because crying is healthy. I don't care what people say about like, "Oh my gosh, why are you so pathetic crying?" Like it's so pathetic. Dude, we were born crying and I'm going to die crying if I want to. A real badass cries and doesn't give a shit what anybody says. Like I've cried, and if a person judges me, I've glared at them. You know what I mean? Like for somebody that's crying at their lowest, glaring at somebody like judging them, that's awkward for them because it's like, what are you staring at? I'll beat you up while I'm crying, and now we're both gonna be crying. That's all I have to say about that. Now I can tell you my embarrassing thing, and it's not that big of a deal. It is to me, and it might be kind of like you guys might think, oh, you really did lose some brain cells, like for good. And some of you have complained about my sound quality on my videos and have asked for my old microphone back, but I bought a better one. I'm like, that's weird. It doesn't sound like good at all. And I'm like, it's my driving, it's too loud. So then I realized this this thing, my microphone, if you can see an improvement, please let me know. But this whole time I have not been connecting it completely to my phone because my freaking phone case doesn't allow it to like click all the way. So this whole time I haven't been using the microphone. That's why my audio sucks so bad. So hopefully my car rides won't be such bad like quality for audio because now I can just take the my iPhone case and just plug it in. So I'm so sorry about that. So my audio will be improved if you like this audio. If you don't, then I'm sorry. I'm always gonna be trashy. So yeah. But I will be making a cleaning vlog. So if you could please, like join me because I have been catching glimpse of the background when you're watching my videos, and I really don't understand why you have clothes on the floor, especially if they're clean. Like I don't mean to call you out. Don't worry, I'm not going to tell everybody who you are, but yeah, you should just join me because I don't have clothes on my floor and I'm pretty messy right now. So please join me for that time. I like how it just turned into this toxic person. You know what? Like, I'm gonna replace Ed and I'm gonna be the critical voice in your head that just makes you clean your room all the time. Are you sad? Clean your room. Are you bored? Clean your room. I sound like my mom, but that's better than like not eating, right? Okay, so yeah, we're gonna clean our room next week or soon, and then we're gonna keep making more Ed related videos because I like talking shit about him. Next time we're gonna talk, yeah, you guys can let me know what part of him you hate the most, and then we can roast him together. And then somebody who knows somebody named Ed can send him the video and he can be super confused, and that's okay. We all hate Ed here because he's a loser. Like if your name's Ed, I'm sorry, you're a loser, and we all know it now. Some people don't, but we are trying to get them to wake up, right, Sarah? Guys, tell me if you're okay with it. Tell me your names in the comments so I can address you personally. I want to make this as uncomfortable as possible, okay? Because I like being your toxic friend, okay? Look at my eye. Do you see? Am I the wrinkles? The red? Because I don't sleep. Are they lazy eyes? I don't even know. I feel like I. Okay, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.